and welcome. My name is Jocelyn and today we are doing something that I'm not going to say excited about because I say that in every single video, but something that I think is really fun. So I was perusing through YouTube recently and I came across a video by Mariah Leonard and it was makeup I wouldn't rebuy if I had to start my makeup collection over. I'll link that video down below so you can check it out, but I thought this was kind of a fun idea. I've seen the opposite of this quite a few times. Makeup I would rebuy if I had to start my channel over, and I might end up doing that. If you're interested in that video, then let me know. I thought that this would be kind of fun. So makeup that I wouldn't rebuy if I started my collection over. The products that I'm going to be showing you today aren't necessarily things I dislike enough to declutter. They're things that I'm going to use up that I don't mind using up, but they're not my favorites. So like if I were to restart my collection, I would probably be okay doing without them, or I have substitutes for them that I much prefer. Those are the products I'm going to be sharing with you today. If you have any like this in your collection, please let me know down below. It's things that you don't necessarily dislike, but you have a lot of things that you prefer over those products. Let's go ahead and just get started. The first thing I want to talk about is something that maybe would surprise a lot of you because this is kind of a cult favorite, at least recently, and it's a bronzer, the Butter Bronzer. I actually have this in my 2018 Project Pan project and I've been using it. It's just really not my favorite on me. I love the smell. I think the smell is amazing, but it's just, it pulls very orangey on me and I tend to like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. I like warm looks, but not super warm bronzers. This just, I could do without it. I'm using it, it's okay, but I'm not going to repurchase, and if I were to start over my collection, I wouldn't repurchase. In fact, I don't really like a whole lot of bronzers. I don't know that I've really found a bronzer that I absolutely love. I do like the bronzer in the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette, the lightest one. I do like that one. It's kind of more like a contour shade, which I kind of tend to like more than bronzers. Let me know what your favorite bronzers are down below because I haven't really found a holy grail yet, but this is definitely not one of them. Speaking of the Shade and Light palette, this will probably come to no surprise to some of you who have seen some of the videos on my channel, but I would not repurchase the Shade and Light palette. Now, like I just said, I do really like this shade right here. I think that's Subconscious. I'm actually not sure the way that this is laid out versus what the names are on the back, but I do really like this, but that's like the only shade I like. Well, okay, I like these two and a little bit of that shade right there, but half of this palette I don't use, so why would I repurchase it if I only get use out of half of it? That seems like kind of a waste of money, a waste of packaging, and I wouldn't repurchase this. I do enjoy using it. There's really not too much to talk about with this one. I feel like I just kind of explained it the best I could. Although I like using this, I don't think if I were to start over, I would rebuy it. How many times am I gonna say that? Next, I have a highlighter I wouldn't buy if I were to start over. Now with this one, I don't know, I feel like all of them, I'm kind of glad that I have them now, but there are many things that I like more. This is the infamous Champagne Pop by Jaclyn Hill and Becca Cosmetics. Okay, I like this, but I can barely wear it because it's a little too peachy, a little too dark for me most of the year. So there are many other shades that I prefer. There are many other shades that I would prefer out of the Becca collection that are just lighter than this one. I just don't think I would not waste my money, because I don't think that these are a waste of money, but I don't think I would spend the money on another one of these. If I had to restart my collection, I would buy a lighter shade. I do have the Jaclyn Hill Becca, the face palette that I absolutely love. I would rebuy that, which does have Champagne Pop in it, and it has Prosecco Pop and then those 3 blush shades, which are beautiful. I would rebuy it in a set if they re-released something like that, but I wouldn't rebuy the single version of Champagne Pop. I just don't get enough use out of it. I don't prefer it over my other highlighters, so I wouldn't rebuy it. Next, moving on to a mineral powder. So I always use a mineral powder or some kind of powder to set my foundation and concealer because I have very oily skin and things tend to break down very quickly on me if I do not set it. So I've tried out quite a few different powders, and the RCMA powder is one that I've tried, obviously, because I have it in my hand. And this was highly raved about by a lot of people because it worked really well for a lot of people. It was very inexpensive and you get a lot of product. You get 3 ounces, and typically I think in most products like this you get like an ounce. So this is a really good deal. and it's okay. It's just okay. For me and my skin type, it's definitely not a favorite, and I kind of dread having to use it. As you can see, I've kind of almost got it used up, and I'm excited for the day I have it used up, just because I definitely feel like I've tried way better powders. Granted, they're more expensive than this, but if I were to start over, I wouldn't buy this. I wouldn't pick it up again. I would just pass right over it and pick up something that I do really like on my skin. I just find that this, it sets my makeup, but it doesn't seem to make it last longer. It doesn't really do any kind of blurring. It doesn't make my skin look any better. It just sets it. For those reasons, I wouldn't repurchase it. Next, I have an eyeshadow palette, and I think this is the only eyeshadow palette that I have in this video, because when I was going through the eyeshadow palettes that I currently have, I think all of them, at least the ones that I looked through, I was like, yep, I would repurchase this, I would repurchase this, I would miss this if I didn't have it. But this one, I just think I could do without. And this is the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea eyeshadow palette. So this is, I think, the original one. This is just, it's not a bad palette, I don't think, but it's just boring, and it's God, how do I, so it's a neutral palette. As you can see, it's a very neutral palette, although I don't think that's a bad thing, and I think having neutral palettes in your collection can be good to have, good for everyday use, especially for somebody who works in an office like me. I feel like I have other neutral palettes that are just better, that are easier to use, that have more mattes. This has two kind of mattes. These are more like a satin matte. They're a really weird matte. So let me see if I can get, oh wow, the pigment in them is not even, I don't know, they're kind of hard to work with. Like, you can't even really see them on my skin or like at all. Okay, so those mattes actually suck. It's been a while since I've used this palette. They're not easy to use. The shimmers are nice. They are very pretty on the skin. Here, let me do a couple. So like, obviously those have a lot more pigment and they are very pretty. It's not the worst palette, but I feel like I have better neutral palettes in my collection that I prefer to use over this, that have matte shades that blend really well, that work really well with the other shades in the palette, like just the generic Tarte, what is that? The Tarte Linen Bloom, that's what it is. The Tarte Linen Bloom palette is a really great palette. It's a very good neutral palette with lots of mattes, lots of shimmers for everyday natural looks, for people in the office or people who just like a little bit of color on the eye or a little bit of shimmer on the eye. This isn't something I would re-buy. The shimmers are beautiful. The two matte shades don't work very well, and I just feel like there are better natural everyday palettes that, you know, I don't want to say better again because I've said that too many times, that are just preferable to this one. Next, I have a foundation. This is a foundation by Tarte. This is their Empowered Hybrid Gel Foundation. It comes in this pot like this. I have two different preferences in foundations. I have the full coverage, the matte foundation like the one I'm wearing today. This is the Fenty foundation. And then I have the Work Week, more natural, medium coverage, that's a little more dewy, that I like. This falls in the category of the dewy Work Week preferred foundation. And I just have better alternatives to this for the work week, like my Urban Decay Naked Skin foundation. I really prefer, and that's kind of it. That's actually the only one right now that I really like for everyday use during the work week. This one's just okay. I do feel like it leaves my skin a little more dewy and oily than I would like, so it's not the worst. But again, if I was starting my collection over, I would only buy the Urban Decay Naked Skin foundation, and I wouldn't buy this, just because I definitely prefer that one over this one. I think all I have left are lip products. The first one's kind of a little like, duh, I wouldn't repurchase this, but some of you might disagree. This is the Kylie matte liquid lipstick in the shade Mary Jo. Now, I'm not a fan of the Kardashian-Jenner clan. I've said that a few times on my channel, but if you're new, hey, I'm not really a huge fan of them. I'm not gonna sit here and hate on them or anything. You do you. They have built quite the empire. Go them. But I don't want to say I bought into the hype, but I guess I kind of bought into the hype. I wanted to know what all the hype was about, so I bought one of the lip kits. I will say that these smell really good. They smell like candy. So, I mean, that's kind of cool, but this one, I don't really like advertising this on my channel because I don't don't really support them. Also, this sucked. Like, it was not good on my lips at all. I don't really know why I still have this in my collection. I think I wanted to give it another try, but I just haven't. The couple times that I did try it though, I think I tried it once without a lip liner and once with a lip liner, and it bled really bad. And I don't really have that problem too much with lipsticks, so that was really unfortunate that I had that with this one, just because it is a really pretty color. It just, I wouldn't rebuy from Kylie Cosmetics. This is the only thing I bought from Kylie Cosmetics, and I just didn't like it, and I wouldn't rebuy it. Next is a lipstick by Bite Beauty. This is in the shade Eggplant. It is a really pretty purple shade, and this kind of also just goes for all of Bite products, is that I would limit myself on how many I bought because they go bad so quickly, and I feel as though I have a lot in my collection that are about to go bad all at once. And because the consistency is so creamy and natural, I feel as though I should only buy them in colors that are neutral, that I can wear every day, because one, that'll help me get more use out of them if it's a color that I'm comfortable wearing every day, but also they do tend to wear off quicker, so I wouldn't rebuy something in such a dark or bright color such as this one. So I wouldn't buy creamy lip products in like bright reds or bright purples or anything like that, but also I would limit myself on Bite products in general because they go bad quicker than other lip products. Finally, my final product that I would not rebuy if I were to start my makeup collection all over again are lip liners. Look at all of these lip liners, and I hardly ever wear lip liners. I would not have this many, for one, but also I think I would limit myself to like 2 or maybe a couple, maybe like 4, right? So we have one natural, neutral, nude-ish color. We have a like spicy color, a purple, and a red. So the red and purple obviously to go underneath my red and purple lipsticks, but also my neutral for when I want it under neutral colors, and like my spicy like brown colors for under spicy brown lip products. But this is excessive. I do not need this many lip liners. I would not buy like nearly as many as I've got in my collection. I would limit myself to like 3 or 4. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed my products I wouldn't rebuy if I had to start over. If you have any products like this in your collection, let me know what they are down below. Are any of the products I mentioned today some of your favorites? I would also love to know that, just because I think it's interesting. Some of the things that didn't work for me, maybe they worked for you. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And also, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed my content and want to see more from me. And I think that's everything I have for you today. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.